Good morning. I'm Karen Hamstra. It's Monday, March the 9th. Welcome to Title Talk. We have several exciting new books to show you today. The first one is a romance novel called The Grace Kelly Dress by Brenda Janowitz. And it starts out in 1958 when Rose, who's a seamstress in New York City, is entrusted with making a Grace Kelly look-alike gown for a wealthy bride-to-be. And against her better judgment, she falls in love with the bride-to-be's brother. And then 60 years later, there's another plot going on where Rachel, who is a tech CEO, also in New York City, she has inherited this Grace Kelly dress, and she's supposed to wear it. But a 60-year-old dress is just not her. She doesn't know why it is that her mother insists that she wear this dress. So if you like a romance with a little different twist, give a try to the Grace Kelly Dress. I have a historical fiction novel that's also a Christian novel by Jill Eileen Smith called Star of Persia. And this is a novel about Queen Esther. And takes place, of course, in the times of Xerxes, and another woman is vying for the position of Queen of Persia. So if you like really historical romances, or not romances, historical novels, give a look at Star of Persia by Jill Eileen Smith. Donna Leone has a new Inspector Guido, what's his name? Brunetti. Guido. These take place in Venice. Each novel comes with a handy-dandy map of Venice and all its lagoons and canals, which is always helpful. Trace elements. This time a woman phones as she is dying in the hospital, and she's saying they killed him, and she wants to talk to the police. And so Inspector Brunetti goes to her bedside, and the story unfolds from there, taking some little side paths along the way. I usually read Donna Leone books, and they never let me down. People such as Ursula K. Le Guin and Louise Erdrich have their recommendations for Ms. Leone's books on the back cover. Boris Akunin, Russian novelist, has a new one called She, Lover of Death. These are fun mysteries. I always read these too. They take place around the turn of the 20th century. And this time, a naive young woman named Masha Mironova arrives in Moscow, and she has a modest inheritance, and she transforms herself into a woman called Columbine. She's a reckless and daring, and she has eccentric outfits and a pet snake that she wears around her neck. And I won't even try and go into the synopsis of this book. These really twist and turn, but they give you a fun look at another culture, another time, and with a little crime thrown in. So you might want to give that a try. Boris Akunin is the author. This one is by a person called Kawhi Strong Washburn. That's a man, and he was born and raised on the big island of Hawaii. And this book is called Sharks in the Time of Saviors. And it is basically a saga of a Hawaiian family. Starts out in the time when sugar is still big over there, and then follows the decline of sugar plantations and what happens to the members of the family. And sharks do figure prominently in the novel. So if you'd like a novel set in a little different place, you might want to try Mr. Washburn's new Sharks in the Time of Saviors. A couple of nonfiction books. This is the 100th year of women's suffrage, so there's a new book out called Suffrage, Women's Long Battle for the Vote by Ellen Carroll Dubois. And this can be found at 324.623 on the new bookshelf upstairs, just to the right of the elevator as you get off. Another one, this book is getting a lot of press. Erik Larson has written numerous books such as The Devil in the White City and Dead Wake. This one is called The Splendid and the Vile. It's a saga of Churchill, family, and defiance during the Blitz. It starts out right when Hitler becomes prime minister. The very day he took office, Churchill becomes prime minister, I'm sorry. The very day that Churchill took office, Hitler invaded Holland and Belgium. Poland and Czechoslovakia had already fallen at that time. It does go into some details about Churchill's family, what they were like, what they did, how others reacted. I've read just a little bit of this because it's been featured on one of our nonfiction online book clubs this week, and it does start off very interesting. So if you like nonfiction about World War II and you have an interest in Churchill, I think you would find this to be an enjoyable read. It's at $9.40. You'll never remember this. Just look in the catalog for the Splendid and the Vile. But if you must know, 940.542121. Erik Larson. And then I want to show you 3 large print titles that we have received. I'll not talk about them, but just to let you know that they're here. Sandra Dallas, The Westering Women. I read the regular print version, and this is a really good historical book that takes place in the West. And I think you would really enjoy it. Sandra Dallas always writes good books. Here we have Net Force Dark Web, a novel. This is a series that was created by the late Tom Clancy and has continued on. This particular volume is written by a fellow named Jerome Priestler, so you would find it on the shelf under his last name, Preisler. And we do have a new bookshelf for large print right at the beginning of the large print section, so that's where it would be located. And then Lars Kepler, who is a Scandinavian gentleman. Well, it's actually a pseudonym for a husband and wife team. This is part of their best-selling series, the Unalina series, and it has sold more than 13 million copies in 40 different languages. They live in Stockholm, Sweden. The book is Stalker, a novel. And again, it will be found under Lars Kepler. Meg Gardner, J.D. Barker, and several London newspapers recommend these books. So you might want to give this a try. So lots of options for you. Come on down and grab one or more of them. Happy reading. I'll see you next week.